Hi everyone, welcome. I am hearing a lot on YouTube lately about people saying, I want to draw, but I can't draw. Well, who says you can't draw? And, have you really tried? Have you got some tools at home? And if you're a little bit older, can you steal them off your grandkids or your kids or get yourself a stash? I'm surrounded here with all these beautiful plant decks that I have that I like to use for divination, but also for research. But that's not what this video is about today. I did a teacup reading, surrounded myself with herbs for the person I was reading for that likes to have those in her environment, and that is rosemary, lavender, and sage. The teacup reading was done with lemon balm, jasmine, and mango. And all the symbols now I want to record on this page. So as a tea leaf reader, I can start to assemble my meanings and my symbols that are coming up often. And it's amazing to see what is coming up in the teacups. But this video today is about showing you how to cheat. Now I went to my garden, and if you don't have a garden, maybe you can go to a park. Find a little bit of a leaf pattern that interests you or from a plant in your house. Now I'm going to put this in the camera in its holder, so I've got two hands, and I'm going to show you. If you can't draw, let me show you how to cheat. Okay? Hang tight. Now this book is a glorified sketchbook that I've made over for, the working with the country flowers of a Victorian lady. And that's how I got into enjoying the Victorian flower oracle. So, just for today, let's pretend that you want to draw, but you're scared. Now I'm going to consider this my front page for the section in this book that is now going to be becoming a tea leaf symbol book, and lots of notations. Things like that are going to go on in here. And I'm hoping that the lighting is going to be fine for us. It's not about what I've done here. It's about getting you to actually experience drawing and enjoying it. So, again, this is from the garden. And if you have a pencil and a piece of paper, you can even go to the dollar store and get a little sketchbook. This one I chose because it's not perfect. I happen to like that. And it's got some little, I guess it's juices from a slug up and down here that have dried. There's been pieces where the slug has eaten it. It gives it character. So paper, pencil, something that you can trace around. Because the idea is once you get used to looking, that is the first step into learning how to experience drawing, and by repetitive motion and looking and using your eyes to see, you can do this. So hold on. So I didn't like the lighting where I was sitting, so I've moved over. The idea is plop it down on your page and try to trace around it. Now, some of the leaves, when you squish it down, get a little bit too close, so you might have to spread some for the sake of your drawing. So get into your zone and trace. And this one is fun because it does have holes. So I can push down a little bit more and draw a little hole there. Move this one over. And you're not trying to be perfect. You're just doing some playtime. This one over here, maybe we'll move it over a bit. So many things happen as we're growing up that stifles our creativity. Now, I happen to like drawing and been doing it for a while, but I get out of practice too. Now this is the stem part, so I'm going to extend it a little bit. So I don't mind having to struggle to find the right color, having an eraser at hand so that I can perfect something a little bit better, but generally I'm not after perfection as much as I am trying to enjoy myself. And you don't have to put every leaf down if you don't want to. And sometimes it's easier just to fake it till you make it. So I'm going to do one more here. Then I'm going to take this off and see how it looks. Now you see some of the colorings coming out. Who cares? So that is actually a lupin. And it's going to be a little bit tricky for you to trace the inside. So here we're going to draw a little circle. And we're going to do a little bit of starburst, maybe going in to each of the leaves. If I want to add another leaf here, I can. Or I can start another flower in here, a petal, whatever. So that was our stem. So this has to go here. Okay? Not perfect. And I even got a little bit of a swirl there. And I like that. Put some more of those in. Who cares? So your lupin is showing you some colors as well as how it is formed. And what I did was just pick some colors. And I tried them out on a piece of paper and decided what I liked. So we can try it on here again. But these colors that I have in my hand can go for both of these leaves. So while we're at it, why don't we trace this one off? So we'll keep the lupin over here for further, study. And maybe you want to start a book like this with plants you have on your property. So then, okay, part of drawing is learning how to compose, but it's a personal thing. You have to move things around and decide where you want them. I think I'm probably going to add a few more over here after, and this one's a little bit large, but I think I'm going to put it here. But the idea is this one's, going to be on top of here. See, you don't sweat it. You've got erasers. You can have fun. So I'm going to put the other stem here. But I'm going to try to get it going a different direction. I got one going this way. So you sort of say, okay, what's the most common way to show it? And how can I show it? So this one's going to go over top. So I'm going to stop. Trace a little bit more here. So this one's on top. Okay. Let's just see how it works as we trace around it. And then we can decide. The last thing I want to do is give you any pressure. I just want you to play. And if this gets you playing, hallelujah. So you can see it's got a vein running down the middle. So run it down. And it doesn't go right to the tip because you can see there's a little bit of a darker green there. So I'm just going to draw that in because it's not something I can trace. And you can see that this is all warbled around here. And the camera's having a hard time picking up all the color. So you could just put this to the side, look at this shape that it makes, and it's actually two tones when you start to look. Let's see if I can show you that. See? There's a deeper one here, there's a lighter one here, and then this beautiful lemon yellow here. But you got little dots of these colors happening on the leaves. But we're just going to go simple today. And you can see that there's probably some light veins. It teaches you to learn by looking. So I'm just going to say that that's pretty good for now. We'll put this here. And I'm going to try to do this. But I'm not going to do something that's too crazy, ridiculous. We're just going to play, make a shape. And see if we can come down to here. Now, good enough for me. Now there's this side. What do you want to do over here? Well, I can see this. So it's like a birthmark. We'll just draw that one in there. And it looks like this one is on top. That seems natural. And then we're just going to see about sketching in some of these dark spots. And sometimes if it's a really dark spot, I start to shade it like this so I can see. Basically all you're doing is coloring. And we all know how to color. Come on. Coloring is fun. And I'm not going to worry about these lines because I'm going to cover them up after with actual pencil crayon. But it tells me right away that leaf is going to look okay there, and I can see some of the patterns. And I can go in here after and create some of these patterns. And I can make it up as I go. Nobody says I have to follow everything exactly. I like the way that this one hangs over top of this. And that's all okay. So then, just get your crayons. These ones are Canadian Barrel, Dixon Color Art, and Barrel. And you can see on the ends these little numbers. I used to make color charts for myself, so I knew if I was going through my stash that I could pick that number and get the right color that I wanted. And you know, you might have to layer things. But if I look at this center part here, I can just start lightly bringing in the color. And go over your pencil line, because you can actually go over it with your pencil crayons. No sweat. So really, I'm trying to appeal to those people who are afraid to try. And I like sometimes seeing in sketchbooks where the color band is over here, and beside it sits the number. It's just really cool to see in sketchbooks. So that is number 567, and that is the green that I chose. Now I'm going to have to do several layers probably, or find another greenish that I want to put, possibly yellow-green. I don't know. I'm not worrying about it. I'm playing, which is what I want you to do. And then, well, here's another yellow-green, but it's a little bit darker. But who says I can't make some shading in here with this? Just to tone it down a little bit. Now, if you go too hard, too fast, you won't be able to put too many layers on. Plus, this is not really super duper textured drawing paper. So your amount of layers that you can do, it's going to be a little bit restricting. So then I'm going to take in the dark. Looking at this again, I can see it runs along here, but I'm just going to play and put in this little tiny circles, little tiny lines, whatever you want. And maybe this one needs a little bit of green on top of it to make it start to sing. So you can probably get, I don't know, 4 or 5 layers here of color. And if I want to do a shadow under the leaf after, I can. If I want to push a little harder and put some color on the edge, I can. But already I can see that I'm starting to make a leaf. Now I'm going to put another block here so I can come back to this. And that is number, you know, these ones don't have a number. Look at that. So I'm just going to put Dixon Dark Green beside it. And it becomes like a botanical drawing. And that is so fun. So then the other color I didn't get was 562. So we'll put this one here. Now I know that's a lupin, and this is just a house plant. So I could actually, in script, you know, write lupin under this one when I finish it. But I better put 562. Okay, so I've got my colors that I've chosen. I'm going to try to take some of these colors and put them in there so there's a harmony on the page. But, you know, it didn't take us long. It gets me in the mood to do some more. And another thing you can do, because this is going to be my cover page, this is going to be my factual page, and I want to include information about sage and lavender and rosemary and what the health benefits are. Over here, I could be including, you know, the growing nature of a lupin, its season, it's a perennial, all kinds of stuff like that. So you get your own documentation type book going here. But with this, you can use household items. This was done in my tea leaf reading, yes. And I want to have the bottle and then indicate the ingredients and list down here some benefits of using this, what it's for. But if I raise the camera, I'm going to show you another way to cheat. Now, just because someone has drawn something by hand doesn't mean you can't too. You're just going to practice. But with this one, if I prop it up maybe, take our handy dandy serviette holder, place it there, I want to show you that, yes, I can draw this. I'm not bragging. Yes, I can draw this because I've practiced. And if you're just learning, you haven't. So if I lay this bottle down here, stand up a little bit for this, I could, if I wanted, trace around the bottle. You know, it's not easy with this one. It's a three-dimensional object. But you can do it. And there's that. So then, throwing it around here, you know, take a look at it visually. Join any lines that have been missed. Afterwards, you can try to make it 3D. It sort of has rounded corners here and here. And do it until you feel comfortable. I'm going to spend some more time after I get off the camera here making these elliptical things the way I want. Try to get some 3D effect with the glass going here. I'm going to try to draw the label on as well. So I'm going to sketch that in. And I'll letter that somehow. I want to show some of the herbs, like in here, behind the label. So I'm going to pretend even that this bottle is laying down on the page and maybe add some shadow. I seem to have my light this way and my shadow there, so maybe my shadow is going to be over here, which means that I have all this room for writing information. Now, you can't see that well enough, so I'll sketch that a little bit darker. Okay, so shadows help. It gives it a 3D effect. I'm going to need to put my cork in here too. You see how you can see that cork base through there? So somehow that's got to go in there. But at least it gives you a way to start looking at, where did my leaves go? They're under the serviette holder. That's where they are, Laura. So it gives you an idea. Get out, see what you can find, or look around your house, find some things, and make a little journal. Just something you can take with you and start hunting for little leaves. And if you want to press them under the wax paper like we did with the iron years ago, you go for it. But I want to hear back on those people that are afraid to draw, that maybe this gives them some courage. I've got to spend, an hour or more trying to make this beautiful. But I'd rather see photographs from you coming to my channel saying, I can do that too. So everyone, this is Craggy Brook Witchery saying, use your imagination, play, and give yourself that playtime because it's so enjoyable. And start building your knowledge about plants, whatever it is that you want to draw. See if you can find some things that you can trace around. Objects. Start looking around the house. But above all, play and have fun.